Have you ever stopped to wonder how many mornings you've wasted letting comfort steal your potential before the day even begins? Think about it for a moment. Every morning you choose to linger in bed, to scroll endlessly, to postpone the first step, you are giving away a piece of your life. Those small decisions feel harmless, but they accumulate, quietly shaping a life far below what you were capable of achieving. Laziness isn't just a habit, it's a silent thief, robbing you of energy, confidence, and the momentum that could propel you toward your dreams. It hides in the soft sheets and the familiar excuses, in the quiet voice that says, just 5 more minutes. And if you listen, it doesn't stop there. It follows you through the day, whispering doubts, draining ambition, and planting the seeds of regret that grow faster than you realize. Imagine the weight of lost mornings stacked into months, then years. Every opportunity you never seized, every goal you delayed, every ounce of untapped potential waiting behind the wall of inertia. That's what you risk when laziness is allowed to dominate your first moments. But here's the truth most people never realize. Your morning isn't just the start of a day. It's the defining hour where you either surrender or rise. What you do first creates a ripple that touches everything that comes after. It sets your energy, your mood, your focus, and your willingness to act. It determines whether you chase your dreams or watch them drift further away. This is where the battle begins, where the war against laziness is won or lost, not in grand gestures, not in motivation speeches, but in the quiet, decisive choices you make before the world demands anything of you. Picture the life you've always imagined, full of purpose, energy, and achievement. Now imagine that life slipping further away each morning you give into comfort. Every second counts, every action matters. And the difference between the person you are and the person you could be is hidden in the first hour after you wake. The good news is you don't need a miracle. You don't need superhuman willpower or a perfect plan. You need awareness. You need courage. You need the understanding that what you do right now in this exact moment carries the power to transform not just your day, but your entire life. By the time this video ends, you will understand the simple research-backed strategies that successful people, leaders, and achievers use every single morning to destroy laziness. You will see how one intentional hour can give you more energy, clarity, and momentum than an entire week of unfocused effort. You will feel a fire building inside, a drive to take control, to stop letting life happen to you, and to finally claim the mornings that have been slipping away unnoticed. So stay with this, because by the end, you won't just know what to do. You'll feel the urgent, undeniable pull to act, to rise, and to step into the person you were always meant to become. The moment you open your eyes, your body and mind are at a crossroads. Your energy is raw, your focus is unshaped, and your potential is completely untapped. Scientists call it the priming window, the first hour after waking, when your mind is most receptive, most powerful, most capable of setting the trajectory of your entire day. Every choice you make during this time, whether to move, to act, to claim control, echoes through your body, your mind, and your life. This isn't just a morning routine. This is the moment where winners separate from those who drift through life. Every second you linger, every distraction you allow, every hesitation feeds the inertia that laziness depends on. But when you choose to rise and engage, when you claim this hour as your own, you ignite a momentum that can't be stopped. Your body releases energy, your mind sharpens, and the smallest actions become catalysts for monumental change. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you frame your thoughts. The smallest decision sparks a chain reaction inside you. Your muscles, your neurons, your heart, they respond to deliberate action with an unstoppable surge of clarity and focus. This is how the most successful people operate, not through bursts of willpower alone, but by harnessing the morning's hidden power. They understand that life doesn't reward potential. It rewards action. Every great achievement begins not when the world notices, but when the mind and body are aligned, disciplined, and committed before anyone else even wakes up. Think about the difference between a morning surrender to laziness and one seized with intention. One fills you with regret, guilt, and frustration that seeps into every interaction, every task, every decision. The other charges you with energy, resilience, and a sense of invincibility that no obstacle can diminish. Your thoughts become sharper, your decisions become clearer, and the day bends to your will. This is what happens when you refuse to let comfort dictate your reality. When you understand that the first hour is your battlefield, and your victory determines the tone for everything that follows. Your success, your confidence, your ability to achieve even the dreams that seem distant, all begins here in the quiet, unclaimed moments before the world demands your attention. Imagine stepping into your day with this momentum already coursing through your body. Tasks that once felt impossible now feel manageable. Decisions that once paralyzed you now flow with clarity. Your mind no longer resists action, it craves it. You become unstoppable, not because life changed, but because you chose to change yourself first. Every step you take builds on the last, creating a rhythm of achievement that laziness cannot touch. This is not theory, it is science. It is psychology, it is proven, and most importantly, it is available to you every single morning, the moment you decide to take it. Choice is simple, yet profound. Let the morning slip through your fingers or seize it and unleash a power within you that has been dormant for far too long. Every hour, every day, every decision matters more than you realize. When you start your day with intention, focus, and action, you don't just defeat laziness. You transform the very person you are. The energy, the clarity, the unstoppable drive you feel in that first hour will ripple through every moment, shaping a life that finally matches the magnitude of your dreams. You are standing at the edge of that transformation right now, and the moment you take action, everything changes. What is the reason you get out of bed each morning? Think deeply, because this is the question that determines whether you live with purpose or drift through life in quiet regret. Laziness cannot survive when your why is burning bright. It feeds on ambiguity, on a vague sense of obligation, on days that feel meaningless. But when your reason is crystal clear, when it ignites your mind and shakes your body with determination, laziness has no foothold. Your why is not just a thought, it is fuel. It is the fire that pushes you to rise even when your body screams for comfort. The force that turns hesitation into action, fear into courage, and dreams into reality. Without it, the morning is just another moment to waste. With it, the first hour becomes a battlefield you can win, again and again. Your why doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to impress anyone else. It only has to matter to you. It could be the desire to finally achieve a goal you've been putting off, the need to honor your own potential, the commitment to become stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. The brain responds to purpose with a chemical surge. Dopamine rises, focus sharpens, and energy flows. Neuroscience proves that when your goal feels emotionally compelling, your body mobilizes, overcoming inertia automatically. That is why people with a burning reason rise while others linger. Laziness is powerless against a mind that is lit on fire with purpose. When your why is vivid, it doesn't feel like discipline, it feels like inevitability. The day becomes a reflection of your commitment, each moment a step closer to the life you always wanted. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the life you've been avoiding because it required effort you weren't willing to give. Picture the person you could become if you consistently embraced your mornings with clarity and purpose. See the confidence, the energy, the unstoppable rhythm of progress. That vision is not distant or unattainable. It is waiting for you to claim it with intention. Every morning you hesitate, you drift farther from that self. Every morning you act with purpose, you pull yourself closer. Your why is the bridge between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. This clarity of purpose transforms the way you perceive obstacles. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming suddenly become stepping stones. Laziness no longer whispers because the mind preoccupied with vision and urgency has no space for excuses. You move faster, think clearer, and act with decisiveness that shocks those who still allow hesitation to control their lives. Action becomes your default. Momentum becomes automatic. The day bends to the force of your intention, and success is no longer a distant possibility. It becomes a predictable outcome of the discipline you cultivate in those quiet, crucial morning moments. Feel the power in that realization. Understand that your mornings are not neutral. They are decisive. They are life-altering. When you rise with a clear why, you take control of the narrative of your day, your week, your life. Laziness loses because purpose wins. Confidence grows because results accumulate. Dreams no longer feel distant, they feel inevitable. The fire in your why is contagious. It moves through your body, sharpens your mind, and transforms every choice you make. Today, right now, you can choose to rise, to ignite that fire, and to become someone who no longer allows potential to slip away. This is the moment where transformation begins, and nothing can stop it once you commit fully. The moment you decide your why, the next battle is in your mind. Laziness is strongest when your thoughts are unguarded, when your attention drifts to comfort, distraction, or doubt. The mind is a battlefield, and the first minutes of your morning are where victory is claimed. How you think as you wake sets the tone for every decision, every action, every success you will have today. If your thoughts are aimless, you drift. If your thoughts are focused, relentless, and intentional, you move through the world with unstoppable momentum. The first mental choice, what you tell yourself, what you focus on, how you prepare for the day determines whether laziness wins or you rise as the architect of your life. Your morning mindset is not a vague idea. It is deliberate, conscious, and powerful. It is the practice of priming your brain to respond with energy, focus, and courage before the noise of the world pulls you off course. When you wake with intention, the mind floods with clarity. Stress dissolves, motivation surges, fear retreats. Every thought aligns with your purpose, and suddenly, what felt heavy and impossible becomes achievable. The psychology is simple. Your brain responds to repeated signals. If the first thought you allow is action, confidence, and resolve, it triggers chemical and emotional momentum that carries through your entire day. Laziness cannot survive against a mind trained to act. This mindset shift starts with choice. You do not wait for motivation to appear. You create it. The brain cannot distinguish between imagined clarity and physical clarity. Visualization, affirmation, and decisive thought prime your body to move. When you say, I will rise, I will act, I will own my day, you are not speaking empty words. You are activating circuits of action, focus, and resilience. Your body and mind respond as if the decision has already been made, and suddenly the first step feels natural. Laziness is silence because action has already begun in your mind even before it manifests in your body. Feel the weight of this truth. Every morning where your thoughts are aimless is a morning where your potential slips away. Every morning where your thoughts are deliberate, focused, and intentional is a morning where you grow stronger, sharper, and unstoppable. You begin to understand that discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. It is freedom from excuses, hesitation, and doubt. It is the power to shape your reality, to command your energy, and to transform every day into a reflection of your highest potential. When you master your mindset, momentum follows naturally. Decisions that once paralyzed you become clear. Energy that once faded into apathy now flows like a river through every part of your life. Confidence rises because the mind aligned with purpose cannot be shaken. You act not out of obligation, not out of fleeting motivation, but because your brain and body have been primed for success. Laziness becomes foreign, an obstacle that no longer has a foothold in the way you think or act. This is the weapon that successful people wield daily, the conscious choice to dominate their thoughts before the world imposes its chaos. You are capable of the same mastery. Right now, before distractions arrive, you can claim control over your mind, your focus, and your day. You can set a tone of unstoppable action that carries through every hour, every task, every decision. The morning is not neutral. It is the forge where you create the strongest, most resilient version of yourself. The mind prepared for action transforms hesitation into momentum, doubt into clarity, and laziness into unstoppable achievement. Today, right now, you can take command, and once you do, nothing will be able to stop the force you create. Action is where transformation becomes real. Thinking, planning, and visualizing are powerful, but without motion, they remain invisible. Laziness survives because it keeps you in preparation, in hesitation, in the illusion of readiness. The first tangible step, no matter how small, breaks the spell. It is the signal your body and mind have been waiting for, that you are committed, that you are awake, that you are ready to move. Even a single deliberate action triggers a chemical surge in the brain. Dopamine flows, motivation ignites, and momentum begins. This is the secret the most successful people understand. Progress is not built on grand gestures, but on consistent, deliberate movement in the right direction. The first action is the spark that sets everything else ablaze. Do not underestimate the power of small wins. Making your bed, drinking a glass of water, stretching, or stepping outside, these are not trivial acts. Each is a declaration that you are in control, that you refuse to surrender to comfort, that you are awake and alive. The mind registers these victories and begins to demand more. The body follows, muscles awakening, energy rising, posture shifting. Laziness recoils in the face of proof. You are already moving. You have already claimed authority over the day. Momentum once started is unstoppable because the brain rewards movement with clarity, focus, and energy. Every micro win compounds into unstoppable power. Feel how your body responds when you take even the smallest action. Your chest lifts, your heartbeat quickens, your mind sharpens. That sense of accomplishment, no matter how minor, floods your nervous system with confidence. Suddenly, the tasks that seemed heavy or impossible lose their weight. Laziness cannot compete with a mind and body primed for action. Your first movement becomes a ripple spreading through every decision, every thought, every step. Each successive action grows easier, faster, more powerful. What began as a single choice transforms into a rhythm of productivity, a momentum that carries you far beyond what you believe possible. The psychology is undeniable. Humans are wired to follow through once motion begins. Resistance exists before action, not during it. Laziness is strongest in the gap between intention and movement. The instant you act, that resistance crumbles. This is why the first step is sacred. This is why morning routines, habits, and rituals exist. They harness this natural law of the mind. When you act immediately upon waking, you defeat inertia before it has a chance to strike. You claim the day before it claims you. You set yourself apart from those who linger, who wait, who let time pass unnoticed. Imagine your mornings transformed into a sequence of deliberate, powerful actions. Each movement builds momentum. Each choice reinforces purpose. And laziness becomes irrelevant. The energy you cultivate in those moments does not fade. It multiplies, creating a rhythm that carries through your entire life. You begin to see that transformation is not a distant goal. It is a practice repeated daily, an unbroken chain of action that reshapes who you are. Your first step today is not small. It is monumental. It signals to your brain, your body, and your life that you are awake, alive, and unstoppable. The world cannot slow you, obstacles cannot deter you, and laziness cannot survive. Every morning you act, you build an unstoppable force, and that force is you. Movement is not just physical, it is the ignition of your entire system. When you push your body into motion, even for a few minutes, every part of you responds. Muscles awaken, circulation accelerates, and the mind sharpens with clarity and focus. Endorphins surge, energy rises, and confidence builds as the body tells the brain, I am ready, I am capable, I am awake. Laziness is rooted in inertia, in the mind and body waiting for comfort to pass. Motion destroys that inertia. It rewires the brain, signaling that the day belongs to you, that control is no longer optional. The smallest movement carries more power than hours of indecision because it creates momentum that cannot be stopped once it begins. Even 5 minutes of deliberate movement is transformational. Stretching, jumping, walking, or a few push-ups send a clear message to your nervous system. You are taking command. Your body responds with energy, your mind responds with focus, and your will responds with strength. Each repetition, each step reinforces the truth that you are not a passive observer of life. You are an active force shaping reality with every choice. Laziness shrinks in the face of action. Your muscles and mind become allies, working together to push you forward, to accelerate every goal, and to reinforce the belief that you are capable of extraordinary achievement. Consider how the body and mind are connected. The brain reacts to the signals the body sends. Movement tells it that it is time to focus, to act, to create. Hormones shift, stress diminishes, and motivation amplifies. You feel sharper, lighter, and unstoppable. Laziness relies on stillness and hesitation. It thrives when the body waits and the mind resists. Motion is a declaration that resistance will not control you. It transforms fatigue into vitality, doubt into courage, and hesitation into momentum. The energy that rises from physical action carries into every decision, every interaction, and every task, creating a day defined not by struggle, but by unstoppable progress. Feel how even the simplest motion changes your perception. Tasks that seemed daunting now feel manageable. Decisions that felt heavy now feel clear. Energy that felt blocked now flows freely. Each movement signals to your brain and body that you are alive with purpose, committed to action, and unwilling to surrender to comfort. Laziness cannot survive in a system activated for success. Once you move, momentum follows naturally. Once you act, the day bends to your energy. Once you commit, your confidence grows, your clarity strengthens, and your capacity to achieve multiplies exponentially. Understand this, mornings are not neutral and your body is not passive. Every deliberate motion is a choice, a signal, and a catalyst. Every movement builds a rhythm that carries through hours, days, and weeks, transforming potential into achievement, hesitation into progress, and dreams into reality. You hold the power to activate this force now. Your body is ready. Your mind is ready. Laziness cannot compete with a system fully engaged in action. Every morning you rise, every step you take, every motion you commit to builds unstoppable momentum. This is how transformation begins, through movement, through discipline, and through the undeniable energy of action that cannot be ignored. Distractions are the silent predators of your morning. They wait quietly, disguised as convenience, entertainment, or habit, ready to steal your focus and scatter your energy. The moment you reach for your phone, scroll through notifications, or dive into digital noise, you surrender control. Laziness thrives on these stolen moments because every second your attention drifts, your momentum falters. The mind that wanders into distraction loses clarity, the body loses energy, and the drive you built through action begins to dissipate. Control is not regained through willpower after distraction. It must be protected before it begins. Your mornings are a battlefield, and focus is the weapon that ensures victory. Every choice you make in those first moments signals to your brain what is important. When you allow the pull of technology, notifications, or endless feeds to dominate, you teach your mind to seek comfort over progress, habit over action, and instant gratification over achievement. The chemical response in your brain reinforces this behavior, releasing small bursts of dopamine that feel good but steal potential. Each notification, each scroll, each moment lost to distraction chips away at the energy and momentum you have fought to create. Laziness is not defeated by good intentions. It is defeated by deliberate focus, unwavering attention, and the refusal to let your first moments be hijacked by anything that does not serve your purpose. Imagine the power of reclaiming those minutes. Picture waking, moving, acting, and focusing without interruption, without distraction, without the constant pull of devices or external noise. Your mind sharpens, your energy rises, and your momentum multiplies. When you protect the morning, every action you take is amplified. The clarity of thought allows you to plan, to execute, and to achieve without hesitation. Laziness cannot survive when the mind is fully occupied with purpose and intention. Every second spent focused is a second of strength, a second of progress, and a second that compounds into unstoppable momentum. The psychology is undeniable. Delayed gratification strengthens the brain's self-control, heightens focus, and builds resilience. When you choose purpose over distraction, you are training your mind to resist the pull of laziness, to act decisively, and to command the day rather than react to it. Every time you resist the easy, effortless temptation, you reinforce the belief that you are in control, that your energy belongs to you, and that nothing external can dictate your potential. Focus is not just a habit, it is armor. It protects your momentum, amplifies your actions, and ensures that the power you generate through motion and purpose is not wasted. Feel the intensity of this truth. Your mornings are yours to command. Every decision you make, every distraction you deny, every moment you focus builds a force that cannot be stopped. Laziness falters when attention is protected. Momentum rises when focus is prioritized, and confidence grows when action is undiluted by interruption. The energy you cultivate in these sacred minutes flows through the rest of your day, shaping every interaction, every decision, and every achievement. Today, you can choose to defend your focus, to protect your momentum, and to take the first hours of your life with purpose. The power is in your hands, and when harnessed, it transforms not just your mornings, but the trajectory of your entire life. Your body is the engine that drives every action, thought, and achievement, and the fuel you give it in the morning determines the trajectory of your entire day. When you wake up depleted, when you reach for sugar, caffeine, or empty calories, you are telling your system that mediocrity is acceptable. Energy crashes, focus wanes, and motivation falters. Laziness thrives on this imbalance. But when you nourish your body intentionally, when you give it clean, sustaining fuel, your mind sharpens, your energy rises, and your willpower strengthens. The right nutrients are not just food. They are leverage. They are the physical foundation of mental clarity, resilience, and unstoppable momentum. Hydration is the first step. Water jumpstarts your system, flushes toxins, and signals to your body that the day has begun. A hydrated body responds faster, thinks clearer, and acts with decisiveness. Nutrition follows. Proteins, healthy fats, and slow-release carbohydrates create a steady stream of energy, keeping your mind alert and your focus unshakable. Breakfast is not a ritual of routine. It is a declaration of discipline, a tangible way to reinforce your commitment to yourself. Every sip, every bite, every mindful choice strengthens the connection between your body and your purpose. Laziness weakens when the body is strong, energized, and primed for action. Understand that self-respect begins in these moments. Treating your body with care is a signal to your subconscious. You are valuable, you are capable, and your time is precious. When your body is nourished and energized, excuses lose power. Procrastination feels heavy because it clashes with the clarity and vigor you have cultivated. Movement, focus, and purpose are amplified when the physical system is aligned. You act decisively, think strategically, and sustain energy throughout the day. Your body becomes a partner in achievement, a co-creator of your destiny, rather than a passive observer allowing laziness to take control. Every choice you make about what enters your body carries psychological weight. Clean, deliberate fuel sends a signal to your brain that you are committed, disciplined, and ready to act. Cravings for quick fixes and comfort foods weaken your energy, blur your mind, and reinforce patterns of hesitation. The science is clear. The body and brain are inseparable in performance. When one is compromised, the other suffers. When one is strengthened, the other rises with it. Laziness cannot survive in a system primed for success, fueled with purpose, and disciplined through conscious nutrition. Feel the difference when you commit to nourishing yourself intentionally. Energy flows, confidence rises, and focus sharpens. Every action you take is easier. Every decision becomes clearer. Every task feels manageable. Your momentum, built through movement, deliberate thought, is now reinforced by the physical strength of your body. The combination of focus, motion, and nutrition creates an unstoppable force that propels you toward your goals. Today, as you choose to fuel yourself, you are declaring war on laziness. You are choosing strength over comfort, action over stagnation, and mastery over mediocrity. This is how mornings become a foundation not just for the day, but for the life you have always been capable of achieving. Action loses its power if it stops at effort alone. To transform your mornings into a force that destroys laziness, you must commit to starting even when resistance is screaming, even when hesitation weighs heavy. The 5-minute rule is simple, yet devastatingly effective. Begin any task for just 5 minutes. That is all. The mind cannot resist movement when it has already started. The body cannot ignore momentum once it is in motion. Resistance exists only before action begins. Once you take that first step, no matter how small, the inertia of laziness collapses under the weight of progress. What seems impossible before you begin becomes inevitable once you act. 5 minutes may feel insignificant, but its psychological power is immense. Starting primes the brain for continuation. Dopamine is released, focus heightens, and confidence surges. Your mind interprets action as success, and the energy of that success carries forward, creating a chain reaction of productivity. Laziness cannot survive in the presence of motion. Each additional minute becomes easier, every task feels more manageable, and your momentum grows exponentially. The simple act of starting becomes a declaration. You are awake, you are committed, and you are no longer a passive observer of your life. Feel how your body responds when you engage, even for a short period. The first movements shake off inertia, awaken your muscles, and fire your nervous system. Your mind aligns with purpose, your energy rises, and hesitation fades. What once felt heavy or intimidating now becomes approachable. Each micro-action compounds into a rhythm that carries through the day. Momentum, once initiated, is unstoppable because it creates a psychological reality. where continuation is natural and laziness has no foothold. The 5-minute rule is not a trick. It is a law of the mind, a principle that converts potential into tangible achievement. The simplicity of this principle is what makes it powerful. You do not need motivation to begin. Motivation is unreliable, fleeting, and often absent. Action is reliable. Action is chemical, physiological, and psychological. When you commit to moving for 5 minutes, you are bypassing the resistance of the mind, rewiring your habits, and signaling to your brain that progress is non-negotiable. Laziness has thrived in the gap between thought and motion. You eliminate that gap, and with it, its power. Momentum begins, clarity emerges, and energy flows naturally. Imagine the life that becomes possible when you consistently apply this principle. Tasks that once felt insurmountable become manageable. Decisions that once paralyzed you become effortless. Your mornings are no longer neutral. They are unstoppable engines of focus, energy, and achievement. Every day begins with action. Every hour builds on the last, and laziness is erased before it can even rise. The 5-minute commitment is not a limit. It is the spark that ignites the fire of progress. Today, right now, you have the power to begin, to move, and to destroy the resistance that has held you back. Once you take that first step, everything changes. Once you act, nothing can stop the force you create. The mind is a powerful tool, but it must be trained to serve, not sabotage. Visualization is the bridge between potential and achievement, the mechanism that turns abstract goals into tangible reality. When you imagine success vividly, your brain interprets it as a rehearsal, preparing your body and mind to perform at the highest level. Seeing yourself conquer challenges, feeling the emotions of accomplishment, and sensing the confidence of progress triggers the same neurological pathways as actual achievement. Laziness fades because the mind becomes occupied with possibility, with action, and with inevitability. What once felt distant now feels within reach. Close your eyes and picture the life you desire. See yourself moving through the day with energy, focus, and unstoppable momentum. Hear the clarity in your thoughts, feel the strength in your body, and sense the pride in every decision executed with purpose. Visualization is not fantasy, it is preparation. It programs your mind for action, aligns your energy with your goals, and transforms hesitation into certainty. Neuroscience confirms that repeated mental rehearsal strengthens neural connections, builds confidence, and increases the likelihood of execution. Laziness cannot compete with a mind that is already convinced of success. When you visualize, you are training your subconscious to act decisively. Obstacles lose their weight because your mind has already navigated them. Fear loses its grip because your imagination has rehearsed overcoming it. Motivation is no longer a requirement because momentum is preloaded through mental rehearsal. Your body and mind move in harmony, guided by a vision that feels as real as the air you breathe. Every morning you spend in deliberate visualization compounds your progress, reinforcing confidence, clarity, and determination. Laziness is powerless when the mind is focused, energized, and primed for achievement. The psychological impact of this practice is profound. The brain cannot distinguish between vivid imagination and physical experience. Every detail you visualize, movement, success, energy, focus, activates pathways that prepare your body to perform. You are essentially practicing excellence before it manifests in the world. By aligning thought with action, visualization accelerates momentum, sharpens focus, and strengthens resolve. Laziness thrives on uncertainty and indecision. Visualization removes both, replacing them with clarity, purpose, and unstoppable drive. Feel the power of this truth. Your mornings are no longer neutral, they are laboratories for transformation. Every moment you spend in intentional visualization, every mental rehearsal of success builds the neural and emotional foundation for action. Your energy rises, your confidence solidifies, and your body responds with readiness. Laziness has no entrance, no foothold, and no influence when the mind is occupied with action, intention, and momentum. The visions you create in these early hours shape the reality you will command throughout the day. Today, you have the ability to prime your mind with unstoppable force. Every morning you choose to visualize your success, you reinforce the patterns that turn effort into results, hesitation into action, and potential into achievement. You are training your brain to anticipate victory, to crave momentum, and to reject the pull of laziness before it ever arises. The life you imagine in these moments is the life you are preparing to live. Visualization is the silent weapon that transforms mornings into engines of unstoppable energy, clarity, and purpose. And the moment you commit to it, nothing can stop the force you create. Your thoughts shape your reality, and journaling is the bridge between intention and action. Putting pen to paper transforms vague ideas into concrete plans and scattered emotions into clarity and purpose. The act of writing engages the mind, organizes your priorities, and holds you accountable to yourself. Laziness thrives in chaos, in uncertainty, in the fog of unspoken intentions. Journaling cuts through that fog. Every word you write is a declaration of control, a signal to your brain that you are awake, focused, and committed. Your mornings become a canvas for strategy, discipline, and momentum. When you journal, you give your mind permission to focus. You define what matters, outline what needs to be done, and set your intentions with precision. The clarity this generates fuels action. The subconscious mind responds to written goals with the same intensity as physical action, reinforcing neural pathways that guide decision-making, productivity, and discipline. Laziness cannot survive in a mind that is organized, intentional, and engaged. Each sentence you write strengthens your commitment to act, creating a rhythm that flows naturally into motion, focus, and achievement. Gratitude is a crucial element of this practice. Writing down what you are thankful for shifts your brain from scarcity to abundance, from doubt to confidence. The chemicals released during this process, dopamine, serotonin, elevate mood, increase energy, and enhance motivation. You begin the day not in reaction to the world, but in command of your internal state. Laziness fades because your mind is occupied with appreciation, clarity, and purpose. Every decision becomes easier, every task more approachable, and momentum builds organically from the foundation you establish on paper. Accountability grows stronger with each entry. Writing forces honesty. You confront your distractions, acknowledge your excuses, and plan intentional action. The mind responds to this structure, aligning thoughts with deeds. Laziness is undermined because structure replaces hesitation, discipline replaces indecision, and clarity replaces confusion. The pages you fill become mirrors of your potential, reflecting the strength, focus, and drive that already exists within you. Each morning spent journaling strengthens your capacity to act, to think strategically, and to maintain momentum through the rest of the day. Feel the impact of this practice. Every word is a spark, igniting mental clarity, emotional resilience, and unwavering focus. The simple act of writing connects your mind, body, and purpose, creating a synchronized system that resists distraction, fatigue, and procrastination. Laziness loses ground because you have externalized your intentions, committed to action, and primed your brain for progress. The power of your morning grows exponentially as each entry reinforces purpose, fuels action, and solidifies the habits that define achievement. Today, your pen is a weapon and your journal is a map. Every line, every reflection, every plan you write builds a bridge from who you are to who you are capable of becoming. Your mornings are no longer a passive routine. They are an engine of momentum, clarity, and unstoppable energy. Laziness cannot survive when the mind is disciplined, the heart is engaged, and the pages of your journal are filled with intention. The act of writing transforms your potential into progress, and the transformation begins the moment you commit to this daily practice. Discipline is forged in consistency, and non-negotiables are the foundation of unstoppable mornings. These are the actions you commit to completing every day, no matter your mood, no matter your circumstances, no matter the excuses your mind creates. Making your bed, moving your body, journaling, visualizing, nourishing yourself. These are not suggestions, they are declarations. Each non-negotiable acts as a signal to your brain and body that your time, your energy, and your life are under your control. Laziness has no place where commitment is absolute, where actions are unavoidable, and where repetition builds unshakable strength. Non-negotiables remove choice from the equation. Motivation is fleeting, willpower fluctuates, and resistance always waits for opportunity. But habits that are non-negotiable operate beyond desire. They become automatic, embedded in your identity, and impossible to ignore. Your mind begins to recognize that these actions are part of who you are. Every morning you execute them, reinforces your confidence, sharpens your focus, and strengthens your momentum. Laziness falters because it cannot influence a system that is wired for automatic success. Action becomes inevitable, and progress becomes unstoppable. The psychology behind non-negotiables is profound. Repetition builds neural pathways, transforming effort into instinct. Each completed habit strengthens the brain's ability to act decisively and efficiently. Energy that once dissipated in indecision now channels directly into achievement. Tasks that once felt heavy become effortless. Momentum once created compounds daily, and laziness cannot compete with a mind and body trained to act without hesitation. Non-negotiables are not merely tasks, they are identity statements. They communicate to yourself and to your subconscious that you are someone who acts, someone who follows through, someone who refuses to be controlled by comfort or delay. Feel the power that emerges from unwavering consistency. Every non-negotiable you complete fuels confidence, clarity, and energy. Each repeated action reinforces the truth that you are capable of more than you have allowed yourself to believe. Laziness loses its grip because the rhythm of disciplined action drowns it out. Your body moves naturally, your mind thinks clearly, and your momentum accelerates effortlessly. This is how mastery is built, not through inspiration or fleeting motivation, but through repeated, intentional, non-negotiable action executed day after day. Imagine your mornings transformed by this principle. You wake, you act, and you flow through your routine with unstoppable momentum. Decisions become automatic. Resistance becomes irrelevant, and energy surges because your system is primed for success. Laziness cannot penetrate a structure that is disciplined, automatic, and consistent. Your identity aligns with action, and your life begins to mirror the commitment you display each morning. Every day becomes a victory, every habit strengthens your foundation, and every morning reinforces the unstoppable force you are becoming. Today, right now, you have the power to define your non-negotiables. You can take control of your mornings, your energy, and your life. By committing to actions that are absolute, repeated, and automatic, you create a system that leaves laziness powerless. Your momentum becomes inevitable, your confidence unshakable, and your potential unstoppable. The transformation begins not in grand gestures, but in consistent, non-negotiable action. The actions that declare without question that you are awake, alive, and fully committed to the life you are capable of achieving. Your environment is the silent architect of your behavior. The spaces you inhabit either empower you or reinforce laziness. A cluttered, chaotic, or distracting environment signals your brain that focus and action are optional. Clean, intentional, and organized surroundings signal the opposite. Every object, every surface, every visible space communicates a message to your subconscious. Either momentum is welcome or stagnation is accepted. When you shape your environment to serve your goals, you remove friction, amplify energy, and make discipline effortless. Laziness cannot survive in a space that constantly reminds your mind and body to act, to focus, and to create. The science is undeniable. Studies show that our surroundings influence behavior more than conscious willpower alone. Distractions, mess, and chaos drain energy, increase stress, and reduce productivity. Order, light, and intentional design increase mental clarity, focus, and the likelihood of follow-through. By curating your environment to support your mornings, removing unnecessary stimuli, arranging tools for action, and creating cues for movement and focus, you automate discipline. Laziness cannot compete with a system designed to make action the path of least resistance. Every detail of your surroundings either strengthens momentum or feeds hesitation, and when structured with intention, the effect is exponential. Think about how your morning actions feel in a space that supports you. Movement flows easily. Focus comes naturally. Decisions become simpler, energy rises, and progress accelerates. The body and mind respond to subtle cues, from the brightness of light to the organization of your tools. Each morning you step into an environment designed for action. Your brain interprets it as a signal that productivity is expected, that effort is normal, and that success is inevitable. Laziness falters because it no longer has subtle footholds, no longer has excuses, no longer has the comfort of ambiguity. Intentionality in your environment is also emotional. Every organized surface, every deliberate arrangement, every uncluttered space communicates self-respect, commitment, and purpose. The subconscious mind registers these signals as proof that you value yourself, your time, and your potential. Energy flows naturally through spaces that are prepared. while disorder creates friction that drains vitality. Laziness cannot persist where the emotional and psychological cues consistently reinforce focus, momentum, and confidence. The act of curating your environment becomes a declaration. You are awake, you are ready, and you are committed to excellence. Feel the power that comes from designing your space to amplify action. Every movement becomes smoother, every decision becomes clearer, and every task becomes more manageable. Momentum builds effortlessly because the environment is aligned with your goals. Laziness loses ground, not through struggle, but because resistance has nowhere to thrive. Energy, focus, and purpose become the default, creating a foundation for achievement that supports every action you take. Today, claim control over the spaces you inhabit. Organize, optimize, and structure your environment to serve your mornings, your momentum, and your potential. Every adjustment, no matter how small, amplifies your capacity to act decisively, focus relentlessly, and move towards your goals with unstoppable energy. Laziness cannot survive in a space aligned with purpose. By controlling your environment, you remove obstacles, protect momentum, and create the conditions for your transformation to unfold with clarity, intensity, and unstoppable force. Your thoughts, your words, and your self-talk are the fuel that powers your mornings. Every statement you make to yourself, every internal conversation, either builds momentum or feeds laziness. Negative, doubtful, or self-limiting thoughts drain energy, cloud judgment, and reinforce hesitation. Positive, empowering, and decisive self-talk ignites focus, strengthens resolve, and transforms intention into action. The voice inside your head is not passive, it shapes your reality. When you train it to speak with clarity, confidence, and purpose, laziness loses its grip and your potential surges forward with unstoppable force. Affirmations are not magic. They are the psychological mechanism that rewires your brain. Repetition of empowering statements strengthens neural pathways, aligning belief with action. When you tell yourself, I am awake, I am capable, I act with purpose, you are not merely repeating words, you are instructing your mind and body to operate at peak performance. Energy rises, focus sharpens, and hesitation fades. Laziness cannot compete with a system where the internal narrative demands momentum, progress, and achievement. Your words become commands, your thoughts become action, and your mornings become a launch pad for unstoppable success. Every morning, the first sentences you speak to yourself set the tone for every decision, every choice, and every movement that follows. Doubt and negativity sap momentum because they create friction between intention and execution. Optimism, confidence, and decisiveness accelerate momentum because they align thought, emotion, and action. Your internal dialogue is the gatekeeper of achievement. When it is trained to encourage, to push, and to demand excellence, the first moments of your day become an unstoppable wave of focus, energy, and progress. Laziness falters because your internal system now operates on momentum, not hesitation. Consider the impact of speaking to yourself with intention. Every affirmation primes the brain to act. Every confident statement reinforces belief. And every empowered thought strengthens focus. Your body responds physiologically. Posture improves, energy rises, and the nervous system prepares for action. The mind interprets these signals as proof that you are in control, capable, and unstoppable. Laziness loses because the internal narrative no longer tolerates excuses, procrastination, or hesitation. Your mornings become a training ground where momentum is built and reinforced with every statement, every thought, every declaration of power. Feel the energy that emerges when you commit to intentional self-talk. Your mind becomes an ally, your focus becomes sharper, and your capacity for action becomes limitless. Every word spoken internally reinforces momentum, builds confidence, and deepens commitment to your goals. Laziness cannot survive in a system dominated by empowered thought and decisive action. Your mornings, once vulnerable to distraction and delay, now become a fortress of clarity, energy, and unstoppable drive. Today, claim authority over the voice inside your head. Speak with power, intention, and conviction. Let every word you think and speak in the first moments of the day reinforce your strength, your focus, and your momentum. Laziness has no chance when the internal dialogue is aligned with purpose. The energy you generate through intentional self-talk flows through every action, decision, and interaction, creating a day defined not by hesitation, but by unstoppable achievement. Your mind is now a weapon, your words are the trigger, and your mornings are the launch pad for the life you were always capable of creating. Consistency is the ultimate weapon against laziness. Talent, motivation, and inspiration are fleeting, but habits repeated daily forge results that cannot be ignored. Each morning you commit to your routine. No matter how small, you are building an unshakable foundation for success. Momentum compounds because repeated action becomes automatic. The brain begins to anticipate effort, energy rises naturally, and hesitation loses its grip. Laziness cannot survive in a system where commitment is unwavering, where repetition transforms discipline into instinct, and where progress becomes inevitable through consistency. The power of consistency lies in its ability to bypass motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates with mood, circumstance, and environment. Discipline, built through repetition, does not depend on feeling inspired. It relies on systems, habits, and non-negotiable actions that occur regardless of desire. Every morning you follow your routine. Even when resistance is strong, you are reinforcing neural pathways that make action automatic. Laziness falters because it has no leverage against the mind and body trained to act, no matter what. Momentum becomes unstoppable because it is no longer optional. It is ingrained. Consistency also strengthens identity. Every repeated action tells your subconscious who you are. You are someone who acts, someone who follows through, someone who refuses to be dictated by comfort, procrastination, or fear. This identity becomes self-reinforcing. Laziness cannot compete with a mind that identifies as active, capable, and unstoppable. The simple act of showing up each morning, executing your habits, and moving forward compounds into unshakable confidence. Your potential is no longer abstract. It is real, measurable, and undeniable. Feel how your mornings transform when consistency becomes non-negotiable. Momentum builds effortlessly because the mind anticipates action. The body responds with energy, and focus becomes automatic. Resistance fades because the rhythm of repeated success leaves no room for hesitation. Tasks that once seemed heavy become routine. Decisions that once paralyzed you become clear, and energy flows naturally. Laziness loses not through struggle, but because repetition has created a system where progress is the default and inaction is unnatural. Science confirms the impact of repeated action on the brain. Neural pathways strengthen through practice, making execution faster, easier, and more automatic. Dopamine rewards completion, reinforcing habits and creating a feedback loop of motivation and energy. Consistency transforms potential into results because each repeated action compounds the last. Laziness is powerless against the momentum of daily repetition, and the energy generated in these mornings flows into every area of life, shaping outcomes, reinforcing confidence, and solidifying the habits that define achievement. Today, commit to showing up consistently. Make every morning an opportunity to reinforce your momentum, strengthen your discipline, and align your identity with action. Laziness has no foothold when repetition dominates, when daily commitment becomes automatic, and when success is a product of unwavering consistency. Each morning, you act builds a life of unstoppable momentum, energy, and achievement. The force you create through consistent, disciplined action is unstoppable, irreversible, and entirely within your control.